lesson for those who can't tell the difference between the three theirs. There with the apostrophe is the easiest because the apostrophe literally splits the word in half. If you see the apostrophe, it's two words, they are. There with an I is possessive, meaning it has to do with the person. Like, their eyes, their face, I don't know. And lucky for you, the there that has to do with people has a person right in the middle of the word. The I looks like a person, that's what I mean by that. There, that's spelled T-H-E-R-E, is about a place. Look at the word. There. Now take away the T. Here. Here is another type of place, so there with here in it is about a place. Late night grammar lessons with Quin, yay! Haha. Quick grammar lesson with Quin part 2, because we're talking about twos today. Ha, get it. The two that stands out the most is the two that has a W in it for some reason. So remember, the two with the W looks different because it's actually a number in disguise. The only time that you use the two with two O's is when you're talking about quantities, so too much or too many. If you need to say too much or too many, you're going to use the two with too many O's. This also applies to the phrase me too or us too. It's basically a replacement for as well. When you say me too or us too or them too, you're adding another person into whatever you're talking about, so you'd add the extra O. The two with one O is simpler and therefore more versatile, so it's used in all the other situations. Like I go to the store or credit to this person. Generally, it's a person going to a place or to another person, or something going to a person, or something transitioning to something else. It essentially relates to going, hence why this too looks like the word go. If you can't remember the difference between then and then hi, hello, I'll explain it. Then has to do with time. So like back then I had longer hair, or we'll go here and then we'll go there. Or I picked up the phone, then I had a panic attack. Another word commonly associated with time is when, and when and then are practically the same word, they just start with a different letter. So in other words, if you're talking about when something is happening, we're going to use then with an E because when also has an E. Then has to do with comparisons. So like, I have more hair than she does. I don't know what's with the hair examples today. And what do you do when you are comparing two things or two people? You're scanning them. You're looking back and forth between them, looking them up and down to compare them. You're scanning. Scan and then both have an A. So comparison requires than with an A. If you're talking about when, use then. If you have to scan, use than. The difference between affect and effect is actually very distinct. Affect is a verb, while effect is a noun. So you would say, I was affected. This is affecting me. I'm gonna go affect you. But with effect, it would be like, these are the effects of this. Or I had an effect on another person. If you can remember that affect is the verb and effect is the noun, then you're golden. But if you can't remember that, there's an acronym. It's RAVEN. Remember, affect is the verb, effect is the noun. The way that I would remember it if I needed help with this would be effect exists and affect adapts. Like the effect of something already exists. It's something, it's a noun, it's a thing. Versus affect is something that's like changing, aka adapting. I feel like RAVEN is probably the easier way to remember it though. If you want to be complicated, here we go. Both effect and affect can be used as a noun or a verb. Effect as a noun refers to the outcome of something, and effect as a verb normally means to accomplish something. So like, she effected change, aka she accomplished change. But she effected change is not the same as she affected change. She affected change probably means that she changed the way the change happened. Because affect as a verb means to have an effect on. It also could mean to pretend to have something you don't, like to affect an accent. It also could mean to inhabit, to wear, or to assume the character of. And yet I've never heard anyone use these in practice. Affect as a noun is a psychology term, but I don't think it's used elsewhere. So with all that said, despite the fact that there's a very clear way to use effect as a verb, we mostly use it as a noun. Side effect, special effect, cause and effect, greenhouse effect, they're all nouns. Affect is almost always used as a verb, hence why I simplified it in the video previous to this one. Here's the difference between accept and accept. Accept is really easy because the X represents that you're saying no. Accept is like the exception. Like, I don't wear glasses except reading. I don't know. Accept with the A is when you're taking something, you're accepting something from someone else. The only way I can think to remember this is by looking at the first three letters, like ACC, like it's the first three letters of account as well. And like if you have a private account on a social media site, it means that you have to accept people to follow you. So accept with the X is everything but this, you're crossing something off the list. And accept with the A is receiving something, like you have to accept an account to follow you. The way I remember the difference between it's with an apostrophe and it's without an apostrophe is that it's with an apostrophe is two words. It is. That's why there's a space between it and the S. Well, the space is filled with the apostrophe, but the point is that there's a space. It's with an apostrophe can also be short for it has. Like it has been is often shortened to it's been. It's without an apostrophe is possessive. Like this is my dolphin friend. Its eyes are blue. You're not trying to say it is eyes are blue. You're trying to say that the dolphin's eyes are blue. Its eyes are blue. Here's the difference between where and were. When you use the word where in a sentence, you're referring to a place or placement. Like, where are we going? Or where do I put this? To remember, look at the word, drop the W, and where becomes here. Where are we going? Here. Where do I put this? Here. Here can also refer to place or placement. Were, on the other hand, is the past tense form of the irregular verb be. And an irregular verb is just basically a verb that you can't make past tense just by adding a D or an ED. Like the word changes completely. Were is not the only past tense version of be, but it's one of them. And you use it for plural subjects and also for you as well as they. So, we were happy this morning, that's plural. Or like, you were sad. Regardless if they is being used in a singular or plural way, you still say were. Like, they were dressed really nicely. So there are some differences between suppress and repress, but they're very subtle. Suppress does cover the definition of repress, so they are synonyms to some degree. In psychology, repress generally means to push down emotions subconsciously, while suppress generally means to do that consciously. In other contexts, though, suppress normally means to put an end to something or to stop something, while repress is to hold back, push down, or to forcefully stop something. I normally see repress used in the context of emotions more than suppress, while suppress I typically see more for information. So like, because of trauma, you repress your emotions, but you would suppress the production of a newspaper because you're like putting an end to it. So like, I guess repress would be like push back, push down, like returning to where it was before. And then suppress is stop, put a stop to it. I hope I did not just make it more confusing. Here's the difference between your and your. Your without the apostrophe is possessive, so like your jellyfish. Your with the apostrophe is actually short for you are, and you can tell because the apostrophe splits the word. In this case, the apostrophe is replacing the A, so it really just means you are. And since you are is two words and your with the apostrophe has two segments, that's how you remember to use that one. And for your without the apostrophe, which is possessive, you can either think you and add an R, or you can think about it like our and your, both are possessive terms. And your without the apostrophe literally has the word our in it. The difference between aloud and allowed is pretty simple. Allowed with the word loud in it literally means out loud. So like you're reading aloud. So if it has the word loud in it, you're literally talking about volume, about voice. Allowed with the two L's has to do with granting permission, like being allowed to go to the movies. To remember the spelling for this one, try to remember the phrase, we're all allowed to do this. If you can remember we're all allowed, then you can probably remember that that version of allowed has the word all at the beginning. I hope that helps.